Hi, dear students. Welcome to Vision Plus. Today we are going to talk about classification of hydrocarbons. But before that, my name is Wow Chemist. That is the nickname because I'm taking people through chemistry whenever I'm teaching, and it's also always my pride to teach chemistry because I describe chemistry being in my blood, it's not in my brain again. So today I will be taking you through classification of hydrocarbons. And in the previous class, we talked about hydrocarbons, and we say hydrocarbons, these are organic compounds or substances which contain hydrogen and carbons only. And because of that reason, therefore, we classify them based on their bonds. We classify them based on the bonds that they have, like between carbon atoms. And we say the first one is what we call the alkanes. We call it alkanes. The second one is alkenes. Then the third one is alkynes. So now, what do we have to know about alkanes? Alkanes, this one they have single what? Single bond between the two carbon atoms. The best example I can say it is like this. So this single bond, the moment you see these single bonds, you say it, what I'm dealing with is what we call the alkane. Then now, also, what you also need to know about alkenes is that for alkenes, they have what we call the double double bonds, or there are two bonds between uh, two carbon atoms. Now here we shall have it in this format. This one here, when you see it like this, we are saying this one here is alkanes. Then at the same time also we have alkynes. Now in alkynes we have what we call the triple what? Triple bonds. Triple triple bonds. Now triple bond is simply we have two carbon atoms, then we shall have three bonds in between two carbon atoms. Now because of that reason, therefore, we are saying that these hydrocarbons, with their three classes, they have also what we call the general formula. Now the general formula is simply CX then HY. So you're seeing C stands for carbon, X stands for a number, okay? Then Y also stands for a number. Assuming I can say X is equal to 2, then also maybe I can say Y is equal to 2. Now for me to put it here so that I form hydrocarbons, I can simply say if I have C and X has been given to be 2, I'll have something of that kind. Then now if H is given to be 2, I'll have something of that kind. Now we are going to learn ahead there about the structures, how we can write this one, the condensed formula, how we can come up with it. But for now, let's know that the general formula is HY, where this the X and Y stand for any given number of carbons and hydrogen atoms. Then we have the table showing the classes of hydrocarbons and their general formula. Now I have talked about this. Sometimes students cannot pronounce this thing very well, but we call this one alkane with the A. With the E we call it alkene. Then with Y we call it alkyne. So simply you can say alkene, alkene, alkyne. Then if you are just moving somewhere on the way, you just be thinking alkane, alkene, alkyne. So in alkane, what do I have to know? There's only a single bond between the two carbon atoms. In alkene, we have double bonds. Then in alkyne, we have what? Triple bonds. But now the most important thing is we are going to talk about the what? The general formula. For a specific, this was the general formula for hydrocarbons. But we went further and said hydrocarbons are classified into what? Into three classes. So we have also, in a specific class, we have also what? A general formula. So let's start with the general formula for what? For alkane. Now for alkane, we are saying C, and then at the same time we have H, 2n plus 2. Now, n stands for any given number. Now, when you look at this one critical, let's say n is given to be, 1. So if n is 1, I come and put it here. Then I say C, instead of n, I'll put 1. So if it is 1, I don't put, of course. Then now here I'll have, okay, let's say we have 1 here. Then we shall have our hydrogens. Then we shall say 2 times 1, then plus what? Plus 2. So let's continue and say, instead when I say C times 1, I can still get capital C. Then hydrogen, I will say this times this. 2 times 1, you get 2 plus 2, you get 4. So therefore, something like this. We're going to see how we can name this thing, but this thing is simply called the methane. This one is simply called methane. We're going to talk about this one ahead. So simply, you see A here, that is a clear indication that this one here I'm dealing with is alkanes. So that is for alkanes. And for that reasons, let's first see how this formula for alkene also behaves. So for alkene, we have simply CnH2n. So here we rarely get, in fact, we don't have alkene with 1 carbon atom. Why? Because we say in alkene we have double bonds between 2 carbon atoms. So simply, our n is going to start from 2 above. So here, let's say it, e.g., let's say my n is equal to 2. So I come and put these 2 where here. So I'll have C, then I'll have 2, of course, then I'll have hydrogen, then I'll say it 2 times 2 instead of n, so I'll get C2, then H what? H4. So this one is alkene. Why? Because when we're going to open this one up, we shall have what? We shall have 2 carbon atoms, 1, 2. So after having the 2 carbon atoms, what happens is that we put the double bond, the double bond. So we put the double bond, and in the previous lesson we said carbon must have what? 4 what? 4 bonds. So therefore, we shall say this one we shall have 1, 2, 3, 4. We shall have 1, 2, 3, 4 because the 2 bonds are being shared by carbon and hydrogen. These atoms, they are not selfish. So therefore, we shall have hydrogen here, we shall have hydrogen here, we shall have hydrogen here, we shall have hydrogen here. So we shall have 1, 2, 3, 4. And you see the 4 here, then carbon 1, 2. So that's how we can drive this thing home. Now let's come for what? Let's come for alkyne. And we see how best we can make it also, assuming you're given n to be any number. So the one with double bonds, let's say it, we are given n to be 2 also. Then the general formula is simply CnH2n minus 2. So therefore, since I'm given n to be 2, we shall say 2, C times 2, of course, you get C, 2, then we shall have hydrogen, then we shall have 2 times 2, then minus what? Minus 2. So let's look at this thing critical. This is where most of the students fail to understand organic chemistry. So let's look at this critical. So here we shall have C2, then we shall have H. If I say 2 times 2, of course I can get 4, but at the same time minus 2. So if I subtract this one, I can simply get C2, H what? H2. But now the question is, how can I now put this triple bond say that I know exactly I'm dealing with what? With alkyne. So this is the condensed formula. Let's write it structural and you see what the thing can bring. So here we shall have C triple what? Triple bond because we are dealing with alkyne. So if this is the case, we shall now say 1, 2, 3, 4. Carbon is supposed to have 4 bonds. Then at the same time, this is not a bond. I'm just showing this with an arrow. Then this one we shall have a bond here. Then I bring my hydrogen, put it here. Of course, sometimes you can even grab this and put it here. The position does not matter. Then This one here, I come and put it here. Now, when you look at this thing, you count 1, 2, 3, 4. This carbon is full. 1, 2, 3, 4. This carbon is full. And when we look critical, we shall see there are also 2 hydrogen atoms. 1, 2, then 2 carbon atoms. So this is basically about this table. And for that reason, we are saying that we have to be keen enough when dealing with alkane, alkene, alkyne. We differentiate them by the bonds and all what they take. But there is important NB down here. We are saying that alkane, which have these single bonds between carbon atoms, between 2 carbon atoms, we are calling them the saturated what? Saturated hydrocarbons. But those ones that have double or triple bonds, we call them unsaturated hydrocarbons. This is the chemistry you have to take seriously, this NB. The one which have double and triple bonds, we call them unsaturated hydrocarbons. But for this one, we call them saturated hydrocarbons. We shall see how saturated they are. We shall simply see that this one they will have more hydrogen atoms. Assume you have something of this kind. Okay, let me use this part. We shall have something of this kind. Then, which means I need more hydrogen. It's going to be saturated with a lot of what? Hydrogen atom, hydrogen atom, hydrogen atom, hydrogen atom. So, that's what we need to know from here. Now, take note of this NB. But also there are these other parts where they say general uses of hydrocarbons. These are for your personal revisions. They use as natural fuels. We talk about them buying, then use as mass plastics. And these are what from what we call petrochemicals. And they are simply what we call the hydrocarbons. Also, we use them as medical drugs. So when you go further with your chemistry, you will see how they're going to use. Then with the formed waxes, and they're used for different purposes in industry. But now the most important thing here that we need to know is, that when we talk about organic chemistry, what I need to understand is simply the what? The bonds. Because if I fail to understand the bonds, the number of bonds that each atom is supposed to combine with, or to bond to, it will be very, 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 very hard. Now look here critical. We are saying carbon needs how many bonds? Carbon needs 4 what? 4 bonds. For it to be what? To be full. Only 4. The moment you put 5, it is wrong. Then hydrogen needs only 1 bond. It is only 1. 1 bond. We shall see that oxygen also is ahead. Oxygen will need only 2 what? 2 bonds. We shall see many, many, many other compounds, other atoms ahead. We shall have also nitrogen. Nitrogen will need 3 what? 3 bonds. So simply here we can say this one here, for it to bond, we shall have something of this kind. Then for hydrogen, just this one will be full like this. The moment you put it like this, that is wrong already. Then we have oxygen. Oxygen needs 2. So if I have my oxygen like this, is bonding to another atom will be like this. The moment I put it in, that organic chemistry is wrong. Take notes from there. Then nitrogen, for nitrogen we shall say it is like this. Of course, it needs what? 3, 4 bonds for it to bond to other elements. So we're stopping here for this classification of hydrocarbons. Thank you so much for watching. We shall meet in the next lesson.